I'd like to open up the regular meeting, June 3rd, 2013, of the Morganton City Council. I want to thank everyone for coming. We've got a good crowd tonight. Sheldon Stevenson, lead us with our invocation.
You may not believe this, but to serve people, serve others, serve God, and not so much to be served ourselves. With that, that's not totally true, but with that in mind, I would offer the prayer. Dear Lord, make us instruments of thy peace. Where there is doubt, may we have faith. Where somebody has hurt us, Lord, let us have forgiveness. Where there is anger, Lord, help us to be bridges of understanding. Where there is emptiness of heart and mind, Lord, help us to open our hearts and minds to the God who created us. Where there's temptation to be something less than we would like to be, we're tempted to be something less than that. Oh, Lord, give us inner strength to do what's right always. Where there is hurt, Lord, help us to be loving. For we know, Lord, it's in loving that we are loved. It's in serving that we are served. It's in consoling the needs of others that we are consoled. And so we turn to thee, Lord, in prayer and ask that thou might bless us in our meeting this evening, that thy Spirit may be just exactly what we need. We pray in the name of we pray in thy holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Introduction of our city council. On my far right is Councilman Hamer, Councilman Fleming, our city attorney Louis Vina. I'm Mel Cohen, your mayor. Sally Sandy is our city manager. Councilman Simmons, Councilman Cantrell, and recording secretary is Kelly Russell, and Becky Brinkley is interpreting for our deaf community. At this time, I'd like to, we don't have Stephen Dyson with us at Public Works, but we will be passing a 30-year pin on to him. At this time, I'll call on Sally to give us our budget for 2013-14 presentation.
Would like to present to you tonight the budget for fiscal year 2013-2014. It will be the budget for July 1 through June 30th of next year. And Karen's driving for me. So start off by telling you that the proposed budget before you is $71,917,845. That is compared to an $82.3 million revised budget this year. It's a 13% decrease, and that has a lot to do with the large capital project at the waste treatment plant. The budget that is being presented for your consideration has does not include 39 full-time frozen positions, which is a 12% reduction in the workforce. It does do several things. Continues our partnerships with several of our local entities with which we work. Burke Development, $384,000. The library, $213,000. The Burke County Narcotics Task Force, $20,000. And the Foothills Regional Airport, and that's $25,546. Those are the partnerships that we have funded together with other municipal partners for years. The Burke development piece includes an operational piece, debt service on the industrial park, and then economic incentive grants to industry that we have existing agreements with. I thought it was kind of important to put this in the last 2 calendar years. BDI, Morganton, and Burke County have received $2.2 million in Rural Center grants that has helped to create 729 local jobs. And those were all done with existing industry. And what has occurred with that is 4 rehabilitations. 2 were empty facilities where no one had been for quite some time, and 2 were existing industry manufacturing facilities that did an expansion and an upgrade. In addition to that, the city and the county have matched $136,000 received from 1NC grants that have been associated with 76 jobs. And so that's what paying for our partnership with BDI and working with the state and the Rural Center has gotten for us in this community. So you can see that it's worthwhile. Now we'll talk about the general fund, and of course, as you know, that is the fund where general government services, everything that is not a utility, happens. And this year's proposed general fund budget is $20.3 million. The capital program included in that is $2,781,198, and that's an increase of almost $900,000 in capital. For several years, we've been putting some things off, and we have been delaying during the economic crisis, and we have tried to increase that a little bit because there's some things we just really need to do. Included in that, and some of the highlights of that capital budget, the second year continuation of wayfinding signage, fire truck replacement, construction of tennis courts at the Mountain View Rec Center, a rewrite of the zoning ordinance, a new leaf vacuum, paving projects, a knuckle boom loader replacement, and then some roof repairs at the old historic courthouse. Now, the roof repairs will happen in partnership with Burke County. The big thing this year, I think that went to, there you go. The tax revaluation obviously has been the big thing this year. And Burke County has revalued property, real property in the county, and everyone received their notices. Back in February, when the county sent out the information, they first told us that we could expect a 9% overall decrease in the valuation of real property within the city limits. Now, some things have happened since that time. We've had some time to massage those numbers. Some folks have filed some appeals, and that is still in process and not complete. We've had time to assess personal property, particularly at our large manufacturing concerns. And once we have looked at all of that, we believe that we're going to see a 7% overall decrease, something a little better than what the county had originally told us. We're not going to have the exact answer of that because the appeals process is not complete and will not be complete by the time you have to set a tax rate and adopt a budget. The total value reduction in property that we are projecting in the city is $100 million, $100,658,730. So it's a $100 million drop in real property value. We are projecting a tax collection rate next year of 98.5%, because in a reval year that typically usually goes down ever so slightly. And so basically, with the new values, 1 cent on the tax rate equals $145,000. So for every cent of the tax rate, you can collect $145,000. So if we look at this year's property values and we compare them to these, and we want to get what is a revenue neutral tax rate, meaning if you set the tax rate to collect the same amount of ad valorem tax dollars year to year, you would need to raise the tax rate by 3 cents in order to do that. So 3 cents is a revenue neutral tax rate increase, property value to property value. The other thing that we know is that there have been some state revenue changes. And the two of those that I am asking for you to consider also in setting your tax rate, we are losing $95,000 in hold harmless sales tax money that the state has been sending us due to changes they made in old manufacturer's inventory sales tax a long time ago. And we're also losing $107,000 in privilege license fees that we were collecting from video gaming businesses that have now been declared illegal. So those two amounts together is another $202,000. That equals 2 cents on your tax rate, just about. And so we are asking that you consider a 5-cent tax rate increase. You would take the current tax rate of 48 cents and increase that to 53 cents. That would generate the same ad valorem tax revenue as last year and make up for the 2 state lost revenues. That 5 cents would generate a total of $725,000 in order to be used to provide the services in the general fund. Recommending that the downtown special tax rate remain at 14 cents per $100 value. That generates a total of about $114,000 in a fiscal year, and the value of 1 cent on that tax rate is $8,200. So recommending that you consider leaving that at the current 14 cents. The other thing that I want to talk a little bit about, state collected revenues, and we've talked a lot about these for months. And these are the revenues in the general fund that are assessed and collected by the state and then shared back with the city of Morganton. In the budget that I'm proposing to you for 13-14, those revenues total almost $5.2 million. That's made up of $3 million in sales tax, and that's about a 3% increase over what we think we'll get this year. That's utility franchise tax of $1.5 million, beer and wine tax of almost $80,000, and power bill dollars of $479,000. If you take that total and you divide it by $145,000, then 1 cent on your tax rate it takes 35.84 cents on your tax rate to generate $5.2 million. So these revenues are what are all tied up in the budget talks, in the Senate and the House of the General Assembly, in all of their decisions about tax reform, broadening the sales tax base, doing away with utility franchise tax, doing away with parts of beer and wine tax. They're talking about changes to Powell bill and how you can use that. We are not going to know those answers when you set a tax rate and when you adopt a budget. So I just wanted to put those out there because that is a big chunk of our general fund budget. That's a fourth of our budget. And all of those revenues are being discussed. Now, they are not talking about doing away with them altogether. They're talking about ways to replace them and all of that. But those revenues are tied up in this big tax reform discussion, and I think it's safe to say that we don't know what's going to happen with all of those. And I wanted to point that out. Recommending no increase in the solid waste fee, which is currently at $10 a month. That would remain the same. In the general fund budget that is presented to you, there is an appropriation of fund balance, and that is $757,000. That, too, represents 5 cents on the tax rate. It would take an additional 5 cents on the tax rate to generate those dollars. We have not appropriated fund balance in 3 years. We have been balancing it with frozen positions, delayed equipment, delayed projects, and recommending this year that we consider appropriating some fund balance. I think that you are well within your margins. You have an adopted policy that says that you cannot go below 15% in your fund balance, and we will be well above that even at this appropriation. So putting that out there as a consideration for balancing the budget next year. But I always have to say that that's not recurring revenue. That's using your savings to make ends meet. And so you can't do that year after year after year. The electric fund, as usual, the largest portion of our budget, $34.6 million for 13-14, 4% increase over this year, largely tied up in the wholesale rate increase. And we've made some capital changes. July 1st, we will be receiving a 5% wholesale rate increase from the Power Agency. When you factor in our load growth and what our system is seeing as load growth, we believe we're going to actually see a 5.3% increase to our wholesale rate in Morganton. Recommending that you consider passing on, effective with the July 1st, 2013 billing, a rate increase of 5.5%. For a typical all-electric residential household, that's about $5.82 a month, 19 cents a day. We'll tell you that in the electric fund, we are recommending in this budget proposal to use no appropriation of retained earnings, to use no savings in order to balance that budget. The capital included in the electric fund is $835,190. $500,000 of that is to continue building out the service to the Morganton Heights retail development, and then $62,575 is to replace our load management system. So that's the largest chunk of that. The water fund, $6.7 million. No recommended water rate increase for next year's budget. Projecting about a 10% increase in water usage. That's what we're currently seeing and feel like we can sustain through some discussions with our larger industry and water users. Do recommend that you consider an appropriation of retained earnings in the water fund, $177,017, and that is largely due to some timing on some large capital projects and some reimbursements of sales tax that under today's rules we will be receiving. Under the new rules, we may or may not be receiving those, but under today's rules, we will. In the water fund, you know that over the last couple of years, we have been tackling some larger capital projects to make some improvements, not only in the distribution system, but at the water treatment plant. And next year we are proposing another one. You know, we're currently in the process of the sediment basin project that we toured just a couple of months ago out there right now, recommending that we replace 2 old Clearwell storage tanks. The cost to replace both of those is estimated at $1.2 million, and we are applying for, with your permission, a 0% loan from the State Revolving Loan Fund in order to fund that, and feel like we can be successful with that application. The other 2 highlights from the capital projects in the water fund are water tank maintenance of $283,000 and then $150,000 for rehabilitation or replacement of some of the old aging lines. And we're asking to do a chunk of those each year in trying to get our distribution system updated. The wastewater fund, where we are still in the process of our $11.4 million upgrade. The proposed budget for next year is $5,477,545. Once again, not recommending consideration of a rate increase for next year. Recommending an appropriation of retained earnings or use of savings of $216,000 in that fund. Once again, that is related to some sales tax reimbursements relative to our large projects and the timing involved with those. And we are seeing about a 5% increase in sewer treatment and sustained sewer revenues. So those have been projected for next year. Like in the water fund, we are looking at $250,000 in the sewer rehab program, which would also go to rehabilitate and replace some aging lines, and then also manhole rehabilitation of $100,000. And those are projects that would be getting at solving or helping to make better our infiltration problems when we have large rain events and stormwater events getting into our sewer system. The other thing is, wanted to make you aware, the $11 million plan upgrade continues. It is actually on schedule, perhaps a little ahead of schedule. I'm scared to say too much about that. Don't want to jinx it. Our deadline to complete that is May the 31st of 2014. We feel like we will be done in advance of that deadline. But this budget does include our first debt payment on that, and that is $701,000, and that's due next May. The cable fund, the budget recommended to you for 13-14 is $4,657,380. The capital improvement program is $467,400, and that includes the $350,000 for the head-end upgrade that you discussed back at your workshop in February. The total programming cost, which continues to be a large chunk of that budget, is $1,970,000. 42% of the budget goes to pay for cable programming. Do recommend consideration of a rate increase in the cable budget for next year. That would be $3 per month, effective January 1st, 2014. That would be included if you approve that on the December bills, because remember, we bill cable in advance. And that would be coinciding with the rate increases in our programming cost, and that includes all of our off-air stations and then the other programming on the cable stations. Currently $60.95 for basic cable. We would propose to raise that to $63.95 per month beginning January 1. And then no recommended increases for internet or telephone service at this time. The other highlights of the cable fund for next year, the final payments for the loans that the general fund and the electric fund had made when we did the rebuild will be made next year, and that debt will be satisfied. The capital reserve one will be made the following year. The cemetery trust fund is the fund where we maintain revenues to take care of the cemetery and take care of that property. $71,000 is that recommended budget. $10,000 of it is for funding current expenditures and maintenance out there. $50,000 of it is to purchase a new tractor mower and a 1.5-ton truck. Total cost of those two pieces of equipment used in that program are $59,000. Using that $50,000 out of the trust fund will not eat into the principal that we use to establish that fund. The IGS fund, the Intergovernmental Service Fund, which is our IT department, the warehouse, and the garage, the funds that serve everyone else and whose expenses are included in everyone else's budget numbers. The total for that next year is $2.1 million. It's a little higher than last year. You see the breakdown, the IT department $963, the warehouse $347, and equipment services $805. We are starting to put some dollars in to start replacing some PCs. There's also money in here for the new interface for our software to interface with the new county tax software, and some other equipment that we have put off for years that we need to start replacing. The warehouse dollars, that is up a little bit because we are purchasing more inventory with the two interchange projects that are going on, 104 and 105, and then also the project at Morganton Heights. The equipment service is the largest chunk of that. $580,000 is for the purchase of fuel, and that's budgeted at the same amount as we did this year. Recap personnel, we have 39 frozen positions. The budget presented to you for your consideration does include a 2% cost of living adjustment for all employees. That would go into effect July the 19th, and the total cost for that for next year citywide is $220,000. Employees would continue to contribute $10 a month toward the cost of their health insurance. So, we've said a lot, and we talked about a lot of numbers and a lot of things. Very challenging budget season. The uncertainty at the state level and what is going on there is very concerning. It has made this somewhat difficult. It is always difficult in a tax revaluation year because you have to predict what is going to happen to the best of your ability between now and when the end of that appeals process is over. And there's some uncertainty with that. For several years, we have delayed capital. We have put off equipment. We have had furloughs. We have had little in the way of pay raises. We have basically done a lot more with less, recognizing the economic challenges going on in the community. We're starting to see a little bit of that turning around. As I said, the sales tax dollars budgeted in here are beginning to creep up. We're projecting a 3% increase. There are lots of good things happening all over the community. A new state hospital is being built. 2 interchanges are being rehabbed. The Morganton Heights retail development is huge. And there are other smaller projects going on all over the community. What we're hoping to have is to reach that tipping point where the positive is outpacing the lingering economic challenges. Tourism efforts, as we've heard a report a couple months ago, are paying off. Visitors are coming to the community. Outside dollars are being spent here with all the different cultural events and tourism opportunities that exist. Cultural opportunities continue to grow. There's been positive opportunities. Workforce training programs are being created to help our local manufacturing. BDI has been a leader in that. We have been fortunate to get state grants to encourage our existing industry to expand, to add more jobs for the folks in this community. The city has been committed to small business loans. We have made those through our Main Street program, and we have made those through our CDBG entitlement program. We have encouraged job growth there and supported entrepreneurs in the community by doing that. You're going to consider 2 more of those later tonight in the meeting. Amidst all of this, we still have a great recreation program. We have great recreation facilities. We have backdoor garbage pickup, and that is very unusual and second to none. Public safety continues to be a professional department that does 2 jobs, and every time they roll, they go out in those cars, yank that turnout gear out of the back, put it on, and are ready to be your policeman or your fireman, whichever one you need. The streets are clean. Our mini parks are beautiful. Our recreational parks are maintained. Our employees provide clean drinking water. We have reliable electricity. And we return clean and safe water to our neighbors downstream out of a sewer plant which we're spending $11.5 million to upgrade. Our planners, our engineers, our building inspectors, design staff, utility people there's no end to what I could say about what they have done to make Morganton Heights a reality. It has truly been a concerted effort by everyone across departmental lines. The community house is gaining new energy, is changing, going back to the kind of place that serves the community that people want to have their functions at. We are very proud of that. I could talk to you probably 30, 40 more minutes about good things that I think have happened. And these things have happened because I think, and I'm going to quote from the movie Remember the Titans. It's a Disney movie. It's a fantastic movie. And in that movie, there is a line that says that attitude reflects leadership. And I think that that's what we see here. We see that we have been very fortunate to have consistent political leadership. Leadership's easy when you got all the resources in the world, because choices come easily then. Leadership is tested when you have difficult choices, when your resources are slow, where your resources are hard to come by, and your choices are limited by the lack of those resources. And I think that you have proven that you can make good choices for the community over these last several years. And that attitude has been passed down and I think reflected in our employees who have stepped up to the plate and done the job that we have asked them to do day in and day out. And I think that they've done a great job with that. I thank you for your guidance, for your commitment to the community. I thank the department directors and the employees for what they do. I thank the department directors for participating in this budget process, which each year seems to get more difficult. I have dubbed Karen, the finance director this year, who works tremendously long hours and puts up with a lot to get all of this together, to get the information, to help me make what I think are responsible decisions to present to you. I have named her this year the glue that completes this process. So everyone needs good glue, and so I thank you. I present this to you tonight. We still have many challenges. We're going to have vacant retail space that we're going to have to fill in the community. We're going to have state property. We're going to have a lot of property at Broughton Hospital, 1.5 million square feet, that's going to need to have something in it that contributes to this economy and to this community. And that's going to require a lot of effort and a lot of leadership and a lot of partnerships. We've still got aging infrastructure that needs replacing. We've got routine maintenance and routine equipment that needs replacing. There is no end to what we have to do. But I think that this budget is a beginning place for a responsible approach to doing that. I say in here, and I've said the last several years, that Morganton is a community that has not just done the basics. We haven't just offered the basics. And I hope that we are never a community that only offers the basics. What I hope this is an opportunity for us to continue offering more than that and allow Morganton to continue to be the place that we're all proud of. So I present you this budget, and I ask that you consider calling for a public hearing on this on Monday, June 17th at 6 o'clock in this room.
Thank you, Sally. I'm going to make a motion that we call for the public hearing on the proposed budget on Monday, June 17th, 2013 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers right here in City Hall.
Second.
We have a second. All right, discussion. Again, I want to thank Karen, all the people that dealt, you and Sally, but particularly all the time you did put in on it, and you deserve a little respite. But I want to thank all the department heads, because we would not have a good budget if it weren't for them working with you and Sally and all. Again, it's been always is a joint event, and y'all do a great job, and I'm privileged to be here presiding. We have a motion. We have a second. Any other discussion, guys?
I'd like to make two just comments. A phrase that Sally used was responsible decisions. And responsible decisions are what we're all about. It's what our staff is all about. And I'd like to thank each one of you and all of our staff for making responsible decisions for our community. The other comment is stewardship. I think this staff and this council are expected to be good stewards, and in my opinion, you are as staff members, and thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the public hearing will be at the 17th at 6 p.m. Okay, thank you, Sally.
Thank you.
We'll have a quick change. Mr. Cole, if you'd go over here to the microphone while I do some talking. I want to remind the community that we have 2 farmers markets in Morganton. We have one every Saturday morning from 8 o'clock till 12 o'clock, and every Wednesday morning or afternoon from 12 to 6 on the corner. The Saturday is at the depot, and the Wednesday is up on the corner of Avery and Green. The Friday night concerts continue. This past weekend, there were around 3,000 people uptown in downtown Morganton. A fantastic crowd, and the people continue to come. And I had a couple came up to me from, the husband is from Colorado, the wife is from Atlanta, and they have converged on Morganton to reside and retire, and they cannot believe everything that we do in this community for our citizens. Again, Friday night concerts, TGIF, continue on. Bill Wilson's not here tonight, but I must tell you that last Tuesday, I believe it was, or Thursday, Adam's family new musical was at Comma, and it was absolutely the finest. I've been sitting in my same seats since 1985, and that was absolutely the finest performance that I have ever seen at Comma, and it was well attended. I want to let the people know that Western Youth High Rise, a lobbyist hired by the county, is working diligently with some contributions from Valdez and State Employees Association, but that we have had our own lobbyist for the last 4 years. He's working diligently on behalf of the Western Youth High Rise, as well as he helped keep our deaf school strong and here in this community. Glassworks. If you like glass, blown glass, we're a very choice community to have had four places that you can see blown glass from artists from Western North Carolina, to be exact, and beautiful, beautiful works of art. They're in 4 places in Morganton. They've been advertised in the newspaper, and if you need to know further, call 438-5252. Mr. Cole.
Thank you. This is coming out differently than what we expected it to begin with. I asked, by speaking with Crystal Reed and Kelly Russell to begin with, and a couple of other people, to get put on the agenda tonight to possibly change the ordinance on signs, because when Enola Road construction began out there, St. Matthew's United Methodist Church was ordered to take down all their signs. And so I figured we were headed for trouble. Well, I was told to contact Mr. Vinnie, who I did, and he told me I ought to get in contact with Russ Cochran, which I did. Russ said I needed to talk to Lee Anderson, who I did, and I thought, boy, we're going around and around here. But Mr. Vinnie sent me a copy of the ordinance, and I studied through that to see what we might need to change. Well, as it all turned out, after a few calls, Lee and I met, and we got along just great. Got along great with all your people. They were very cooperative. Lee then recommended that everything that we needed to do would be approved by this Development and Design Division. But it also had to be approved by North Carolina State Department of Transportation. And I thought, oh. But Lee knew James Evans over at Marion. He put me in contact with him. I met with him. And then he put me in contact with Joe, and I don't know his last name, but he's in charge of Enola Road construction out here. And we got our heads together. We figured out where every sign is going to be, and everything is hunky-dory. I want to thank you, thank your people. As your city manager said, you've got a lot of dedicated people, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cole, for coming. Thank you. Anything on the municipal power?
No, sir.
Consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, the consent agenda, items that the staff considers to be non-controversial. There are 3 items on the consent agenda tonight. First one, approval of minutes from May the 6th. The second item, consideration of tax releases for $82.60. You have a list of that. And the third one is consideration of an amendment to a license agreement for a cell tower on the Valdez Avenue water tank. This would add antennas and for additional rental fee. The item actually refers to that as the second amendment, but actually it should be the first amendment to the existing lease. If we have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer.
Thank you, Ron.
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. New business. Consideration of amendment to the city's health insurance master plan document.
This is an item that comes to you for a couple reasons, but as you know, our health plan does have is spelled out in a document. Two things have occurred which make us need to change that. One, if you recall earlier in budget discussions, our health administrator had recommended that we use the Cigna network for our health insurance plan because that was a situation where we could get a better rates by using the Cigna network. When we use the Cigna network, that requires some changes, minor changes, but we lose what we have had before, our grandfathered status under the Federal Health Act. That means there will be some mostly administrative changes that we will lose it a year early, otherwise we would have lost it in 2014. But we still feel like that this change will save us money in the long run, and therefore we still feel like the change to Cigna is worthwhile. So you have a document which shows the changes in our plan. Again, most of them are procedural and administrative that are required because of the Federal Health Act. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions about those.
I move we approve amendment number 1-13 to the City of Morganton's Health Insurance Master Plan document to be effective July 1, 2013.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consideration of a resolution regarding application for DWSRF loan for the water treatment plant improvements. Ron.
The question on everyone's mind is, what does DWSRF mean? That's Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. This is an item where, if you recall, and we visited the water plant where the proposal is to replace the clear wells. One of the methods to finance this, which the city is working on, is through this Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, which Diener administers. And we are hopeful that if we're successful, we could get zero interest on a loan. And so this resolution is the first step in making application for those funds.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, let me ask you a question. Is our video part of our...
Part of the problem. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what's on the screens, but...
It's the full, I can see from here, it's the full council.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay. Just this one is, these are a problem.
These are part of the
Okay.
problem.
All right. Very good. Yeah. It's hung up. But we've got the part, should be here Thursday. Okay. A motion to approve the proposed resolution authorizing an application for a DWSRF loan for the water treatment plant improvements.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion of that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Consideration of an award of a bid for construction of the Morganton Heights Electric Service. Ron.
Mr. Mayor, we took bids for equipment for the installation, if you will, of equipment for the work at Morganton Heights, electric work. The bid was $285,436.20 from T&D Solutions of Kinston, North Carolina, and we recommend approval of the award of that bid.
So moved. Okay, we have the motion. Any second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
Yes, we will have a lot of new electric customers as a result of this, but do we have any idea about the payback on this?
I don't have the calculations. We can get you some information on that. Of course, we are going to lose some. We're gaining in some places, and we're losing in some others. So it's a complex.
Brooks is here, so.
Oh, is Brooks there? Okay, Brooks.
Brooks, I'm not sure if I'll put you on the spot or not, but state your name and what department you're with.
My name is Brooks Kirby, Electric Services Director for City of Morganton. If things goes as planned, we're going to move in some old customers to Morganton Heights. We'll also get some new customers in. Unfortunately, the payback for the construction costs and the contract labor costs is going to extend past 7 years. It just depends on how the economy in the county does. The more people shop there, the quicker the payback.
Gotcha.
That's as close as I can get you.
I understand. Appreciate it.
Sir.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Consideration of the Powell Bill resurfacing of city streets for 2013-14. Ron?
Mr. Mayor, you should have received on your desk a revised sheet about this because we just got the bids in on May the 30th after the initial book had been put together. But we did receive a bid on the resurfacing from Maymead, or the low bid from Maymead for $132,581.87, and you have the list of the roads that would be paved with that contract, and we therefore ask you to authorize the contract with Maymead for the Powell Bill resurfacing.
Okay.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. And I asked a question a little earlier, and I should have. We don't need to do 14-15 to get the same price right now. Is that right, Ron?
That's correct. That's what I was told
Because
today.
we're going to get the same price next year as we got this year, just different streets.
I think that's correct.
Okay. All right. Consideration of upgrade of Lost Corners Sewer Lift Station, Ron.
This was an item that the lift station has been on the list of things to improve or to replace. We have that. We got a quote to do that work, and I can't find the number, but I thought it was like $95,000. Well, that's pretty close. At $94,208. And we recommend that the contract with Brushy Mountain Builders to do that work be awarded.
So moved.
We have the motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion?
That's already in our capital plan for this year that we're in.
Yes, sir. That's my understanding.
All right. Gotcha.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Consideration of entering into a CDBG small business loan agreement with Mark and David Bennett, members, owners of the Fontaflora Brewery, LLC.
I will point out, you also got a handout on this one on your desk, and the only reason was that there had been a slight change in the agreement. The basics of the agreement were unchanged, but instead of the agreement being with Mark and David Bennett, the agreement is with Fontaflora Brewery, LLC, with Mark and David Bennett being guarantors of the agreement. This is for you have the outline of the brewery at 317 North Green Street and the outline of their investment, and they want to start that business. Lee Anderson is here. If you have any questions specifically about the proposal, it's a proposed loan of $30,000 through the CDBG fund.
Thank you, sir.
I move to enter into a $30,000 CDGB loan agreement with Fontaflora Brewery LLC with Mark and David Bennett as members.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion?
Do we have any collateral on this?
Yes. If I may, Mr. Mayor, yes, the equipment would be used as collateral for the loan, and I would also note that the third member of the LLC would also be guaranteeing it, in addition to the two Bennett brothers. And
Yeah, we do have full collateral on the loan amount plus personal guarantees by the applicants.
Any other questions of Lee?
Just one for information. That building was originally built as a medical office.
Yeah, years ago.
Right.
Dr. Hamer, wasn't your daddy in there? No.
What, on that corner?
Yeah, where Johnny Kago.
Yeah.
Kago Electric,
Yeah.
what used to be.
Yeah.
I thought your daddy was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got some age on
Kid.
Year or two.
it. Year or two. Yeah. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second. Yeah.
Yeah, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consideration of entering into a CDBG small business loan agreement with Teresa Elaine Kinney and Titus Benjamin Kinney, member, owners of Kinney's Sub LLC, doing business as Motown Deli Grill and Catering. Ron?
This is a similar loan agreement. It's in the amount of $20,000, and I believe the location of the proposed facility is here in this building.
Complex.
Again, you have an outline of the business, the deli, grill, catering operation, and again, Lee is here if you have any specific questions about the proposed business.
Any questions of Lee?
Same question. We got collateral on them, I'm assuming.
We do. This business is actually rebranding itself and expanding its number of employees. So they're bringing existing equipment that's paid for, and they're providing collateral with that existing equipment, plus personal guarantees by the member owners.
Lee, what's the schedule of both of these enterprises?
The Motown Deli is supposed to be opening up here in just a few weeks, and by the middle of June, they indicating. So just a couple weeks in this building. They will provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week in this complex, and have outdoor dining available. They are going to be doing catering out of this building and also delivery into the downtown area and close by vicinity. So that's going to be a nice business to have down here. I know the Redevelopment Commission envisioned a restaurant in this complex many, many years ago, so this is an opportunity to actually see that concept come to life, with folks sitting out in the courtyard and enjoying what we have to offer up here.
Lee, do you know how many it'll seat inside? About.
I am guessing somewhere in the range of 50.
Okay.
50 folks. The other business, they're indicating they will be open Labor Day weekend. They're doing renovations, about $250,000 worth of renovation to that building, and they hope to be open before the festival and fully functional.
Very good. Any other questions of Lee? Need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Just to add, Mayor, this is your 13th loan in this program, and we have created, with the funding that we've provided in loans, over 130 new jobs to this community.
Fantastic.
So
Thank you, Lee.
you should be very
Appreciate
proud
it.
of this program.
Yes, sir. We are. Thank you very much. All right, we're consideration of appointments. I'm going to go through the appointments. Anybody having a name that I don't mention that would like to put on, they will have to vote on, of course, but I've worked with staff and some of the council members, talking with them. The first one is Board of Adjustment, and I'm moving up Bryant Lindsay and Beth Walker to the full-time member, not alternates. They're going from alternates to full-time, and we'll still have to fill at a future date the alternate positions, Bryant Lindsay and Beth Walker.
So moved.
Well, okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. You got that, Kelly? Are you okay, Becky? You all right? Okay. Consideration of appointments of cable television. We recommend that staff, that William Robertson Jr. be reappointed, and Dennis Caldwell be appointed to the Cable Television Commission, the 2 members.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Community appearance are my appointments, and I'm appointing Jackie Ward and Barbara Norville. No,
You've got more than that. You have to reappoint.
did I miss something?
Those are the short terms. They're community appearance.
I haven't got there yet.
Oh, I thought that's one you
Was
were
that
talking
one? I'm sorry.
you were
Okay, yeah. Duke Logan, and Bill Lennon and Eddie McJempsey have going to be reappointed. So we're talking
for the
yeah,
terms
for
ending
the
in
terms
2016.
Right. Barbara Norville and Jackie Ward be added to them.
For the terms ending in 2015
Yeah.
and 2014.
Yeah. Okay. And that was mine, so we don't need to vote on that. Thank you for keeping me straight, sir.
It's okay.
Tony Felice for the Fireman Relief Fund Board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Fireman Supplemental Retirement Fund would be reappointing Dave Rader and Sheldon Stevenson. And I was supposed to be made aware of whether Carl Walden
He can.
He can.
can. Okay. All right. Make those in the form of a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Human Relations Commission, 1 vacancy, and we'll get that a little bit later. Main Street Advisory, recommending Crawford Craig, who I think is with Crescent Resources, and reappointing Jerry Norville and Bobby McCombs are my appointments, so we don't need to vote on that. Planning and Zoning, Hank Dickens is being reappointed, and we're adding Judy Francis, former planning director with the county, and Pete Wallace, retired, and Rick Lingerfelt, a contractor.
Mr. Mayor, let me make a note that 3 of these seats are for 3-year, they're terms that have just expired, so they run to 2016. Then there's 1 vacancy, the term of Tate Irvin, who has resigned because of reasons of
That's
health.
going to be Rick Lingerfelt.
Okay, and that one expires next year, so that's only
yeah.
a 1-year
Yeah, he
term.
wants to try it a year.
Okay, so that will be Rick Lingerfelt on that one. We
Need
to
a
make-
motion on this. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Recreation Advisory is we're doing Harvey Dahl, Tim Johnson, and Chris Witherspoon. I need to. Any other additions? We're all right with these? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's Harvey Dahl, Tim Johnson, and Chris Witherspoon. Redevelopment Commission, no recommendation at this time. I believe that's it. Right? Okay. Appearances. We're under appearances now, and the people that would like to speak with regards to the subject from last month, they can go to the microphone on this side, and we will put a 3-minute time period, which Louis Vina, our attorney, will be the caretaker. And I would like for y'all to only be speaking one time, no repetitious of speakers, same as we did last time. Dr. Omar knows how it was. Yes, ma'am. State your name. Yeah, state your name and where you reside.
Okay, sure. Hi, my name is Carol Snow, and I live at 507 College Street in Morganton. And I'd like to address the following statements that were made at the last meeting by Mayor Cohen. I was going to play the recording, but I'll just read them. These are your words, Mr. Mayor. There's a lady, maybe in this audience, called City Hall and said that I called an unofficial rogue meeting the week of the 25th of March. That person, if she's in this room, see me after the meeting. We'll talk. That is untrue and that is a lie. Don't do things like that. We had a reporter at that workshop. The meeting was reported on at that workshop. End quote. You know the scene in The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy is standing there before the great and powerful Oz, as he uses deception and intimidation in order to maintain his control, I must say I can identify with Dorothy. Mayor Cohen, since your lecture was delivered publicly rather than privately, I'll respond publicly. I assume I'm the only person who called to ask your staff members if a quorum of the City Council met on March 25th to approve the utility rate increase. The reason I even asked this was because I was approached by someone who was close to the City Council who assured me, or who was certain, that the Council finalized the decision on that date. So let me be perfectly clear. I did not start the rumor. I did not spread the rumor. I didn't even imply it was true. Not verbally, not written, not digitally, or in any other form. I simply called your office to ask for clarification as to whether or not that was true. Surely, Mr. Mayor, you don't have a problem with someone going straight to the source to either debunk or check out a rumor that's said about your office. I can understand why the question arose about when the utility rate decision was made after reviewing the events surrounding this issue over the past couple of months. Let me list a couple of inconsistencies. Yes, a News Herald reporter did report on the February 1st workshop. He wrote a 1,700-word article, but curiously, he didn't report so much as one word about this utility rate increase in the newspaper. Number two, in fact, the first time this increase was reported on by local media was on April 8th, which obviously is after the March 25th. And it's a full 2 months after you decided on the rate increase. Now, if city officials want to increase utility deposit rates without public knowledge or getting any input before you do so, to consider unintended consequences, you have that right.
15
Since
seconds.
the agenda for the February 1st workshop wasn't made public prior to the meeting, of course, we had no way it was going to come up, let alone be decided that day. I don't know of too many people who like government bodies to take stealth, below the radar decisions, but considering the members of this body are elected on a stealth, below the radar election day in October, when few people are paying attention, I can't say I'm surprised at how this came about. Thank you for allowing me this time to
Thank you,
express
Ms.
my
Snow.
opinion.
Next.
Thank you. My name's Dr. Aziz Omer, and thank you for the privilege of freedom of speech today for my 3 minutes, and I will get started.
Can you please tell me where you reside?
101 Irvingdale Lane, Morganton, North Carolina. Gracias todos por venir hoy. I'm calling to show you that there are a lot of people. The last thing we didn't talk about was petitions. We have over 2,000 people who have signed this petition of all different various backgrounds. I wanted to bring that to your attention since that's an important issue because they all live here as residents and citizens, even non-citizens, and their children. And so we don't find this to be an appropriate amount of money. There was discussion about possible reconsideration in the April 8th newspaper where you said you would possibly revisit this theme. We have not revisited this theme. A lot of the speakers did not find the last city council meeting to have gone well for them, so they didn't come back to speak. But a lot of them, in fact, quite all of them have signed the petition as well, including congregations of churches and elsewhere. I just want to read a few things to you, though. The city of Morganton says the budget is $18.8 million, which is comparable to other towns of Morganton size in North Carolina. But the city does not itemize for residents to see is its electric fund, cable fund, or other sources of revenues. When you add up $33 million electric budget and a $4.3 million cable budget to the city of Morganton, which is where it should be added, as it is under the pursuit of the city council and the city staff, you get a budget totaling $65 million. With $65 million, we cannot find the $300,000 that you had mentioned in WSOC TV. We must change the least advantaged people trying to get utilities to recoup these alleged losses. We don't know if that's how it's going to be done. In the past, we have used the city electric fund to loan other departments money according to the News Herald.
money from Electric Fund was used to build Compass Cable in the 1990s. Is this still a practice? There are many ways we could find $300,000 in the $65 million city budget. $300,000 is only 0.46% of the city's total budget. That is less than 0.5%. Look at other streams of revenues available to the city. For example, the electric fund, the cable fund, which includes subscriber fees, internet subscriptions, telephone hookups, advertising revenues, etc., property tax revenue, a portion of Burke County sales tax revenue, various state and federal grants that the city receives. In addition to all these potential sources, the city buys and sells properties, leases properties, runs a civic auditorium, a bluegrass festival, and a community house. The revenue sources available to the city are almost limitless. If these many different sources are not turning a profit or breaking even, then we need to look at the way the city is running them. Are we charging $400 for everyone who camps out and looks at the Bluegrass Festival, or those who need power at the historic Morganton Festival or other downtown functions? Why or why not? Why should these people be given preferential treatment over the people who want to come to Morganton, live and pay taxes and be a part of our town? It makes no sense for the city to provide electric services or cable services to the residents if the city cannot do it at a lower rate than other providers. If the city is going to change the same or more as a for-profit company or a regular utility company, then the city should not be involved. Those lights look better just because the city hooks them up, or is it because the Duke Power can do it? We can't tell the difference. I believe that in a democracy, that is the government that by the people, for the people, transparency is essential. One of my main concerns with the city new utility deposit increase is that no one knew about the changes until after they made. The News Herald is our only newspaper that was unaware of this change had taken place. Local radio stations were not aware. Not one single person with whom I've spoken was aware of this change. Listing new utility rates on the city's Morganton website after the fact is not what I consider an announcement, especially not for such a drastic change that will affect so many people and at the community at large. Studies show that most people do not access government websites. So not only were we as citizens of Morganton not notified in advance of the pending utility deposit change, but we were not even notified after the change was made. In actuality, the only people who initially became aware of the deposit change were those who went to the city and have new utility accounts set up. I'm here to urge the city and the mayor to limit the maximum utility deposit to no more than $260. Although this is double that of which is prior to the change, it's more reasonable for those people who would like to become a part of our community. We do not want to send a message to newcomers and employees of new businesses that are not welcome in Morganton. Instead, we want to offer services of future residents that are affordable for them as well as favorable for the future growth of Morganton.
Thank you, Doctor.
If you want more people, I would love to bring more people. I would like to come to some kind of a compromise.
Thank you, Doctor. Anyone else? Anyone else? Meeting's closed. I'd like to thank everyone for coming.